everyone, my name is Josh and welcome to WHIMs. And this evening, or at approximately midnight, I'm going to give you a review of an Inside Number 9 episode. Now this one's going to be slightly different from my usual discussion of Inside Number 9 episodes because I'm not really going to be discussing a particular episode, and it's not really a particular episode that stars Stephen and Reese. It's actually a webisode called The Inventors, and The Inventors follows two brothers named Andy and Dennis, and they are both flatmates, and one of them is described as a inventor. He's sort of like a do-it-yourself inventor. He's invented all sorts of different things, and he wants to invent a time machine that can take him back to certain periods in time, but it can only, jump back from one few minutes to the next. And him and his brother have quite a very estranged relationship, but Dennis comes round every so often to tell him what he's up to, like he missed rent or something like that, and he wants to basically get his brother's signature so he could sell a piece of property that he can get a lot of money for so that he can start his own life with his fiancée. But as things go along, we realise that there's a little bit more to this story and a little bit more to this dynamic than meets the eye. And what the basic crux of the story is that something happens that gives Andy this idea that, maybe his time machine did work and he needs to not, interfere with any of the past selves events or any of the conversations that the two brothers have had, because if they do, they'll create a paradox which will, turn everything to ruin effectively. And this webisode is very interesting because it's told in a very interesting way. It's basically a webisode, so you have to look it up online, and you are basically, when you open the story up on your browser, you are greeted to the stereotypical Inside Number 9 intro music with the font, and you are greeted with stilled images of a flat door number 9B, and photographs of the characters, just basically photographed, and then they'll have a very weird effect where they'll have characters' eyes move, or sometimes the camera would shift perspective. Like, say for example, it would turn a 2D profile of a character into a 3D profile. Like it's almost like they're swinging the camera around. It's such a very weird effect. And it really does add this almost level of unease to the entire presentation of the product, or the entire presentation of the piece. And it's very well done. It's very well utilised. And I do feel like this, even though using this term could mean that it's a negative, it really is a positive in this regard. This does feel like an Inside Number 9 fan fiction, because this isn't a product that was conceived by Steve Pemberton and Reese Shearsmith. This was actually invented by a completely different studio. In fact, it was produced by the BBC Comedy Group, but they were doing a more interactive experience. That's something you could do online. And Inside Number 9 was one of the things that came into their heads. And it does feel like an Inside Number 9 episode. It does follow the philosophy that Steve and Reese Shearsmith do often operate with when they're constructing an Inside Number 9 episode, where they go, what do you think you're watching and what are you actually watching? So it plays with the idea of a setup with a twist in the tail somewhere along the lines, whether it's halfway through or, towards the end. And there's two twists, I think. You have to actually check out the actual interactive piece to actually figure out what's going on. Or if you don't want to actually interact with the piece itself, you can look up videos of it on YouTube. There's actually a 2-part video along with a few behind the scenes extras of how the episode was created and written and produced, with the actors and the green screen and everything like that. But it's a very interesting episode. It's basically a story about two brothers learning to get along and really kind of trying to bond together. It's actually really tragic when you actually get to the heart of the twist, which I won't spoil here, but you do definitely need to check it out in order to figure out what that twist is and how the actual piece is presented. But I do feel like this is an incredible episode, and I just want to dedicate a few moments left of this video to basically say I'm absolutely amazed that Steve Pemberton and Reese Shearsmith's style caught on this quickly, and they basically caught lightning in a bottle with the idea of basically doing an Inside Number 9 episode, where every episode is kind of like an episode on a budget, or a TV series on a budget, where you've only got one location to play with, and sort of like a small handful of actors to play with. That's such an influential style, and you can clearly tell that this has really garnered a lot of influences from a lot of people, whether they're in comedy or whether they're in dramas or horror or anything like that, any kind of genre you want to play with. I wouldn't be surprised if this influences a lot of other people along the lines as well, because this does come at kind of like the midpoint of Inside Number 9. Like it's sort of like sandwiched between series 1 and series 2 of Inside Number 9, this particular webisode. But it's such an influential idea, and it's such a very creative way of telling a story, that I actually really am pleased that Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith's style is incredibly influential, and it's been this influential for this long. And I really am going to also say that when this series eventually ends, I'm going to feel a little bit sad, because I owe a lot to Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith. I owe a lot to their writing. I owe a lot to their performances. Because to me, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have started YouTube. I wouldn't have actually, gotten up the courage to actually, start a YouTube channel or talk about anything. Or I could have just jumped on the bandwagon and talked about something like Doctor Who or any of these other episodes that are in circulation, or any of these other series in circulation. But I wanted to choose something like Inside Number 9 that was like an anthology series. I would have either chosen Inside Number 9 or Black Mirror, but I do feel like Inside Number 9, I am going to feel sad when it's over. Like, I am going to feel like my cousin did when he watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. He said, I don't really feel... It's going to feel hard to move on from it. Like, it's going to feel really difficult to move on from this and pick up any other new series, because it's just going to feel like it's such a huge part of your life at that point that you don't know what else to do after it's finished. You feel kind of empty afterwards, and that's kind of how I'm going to feel with Inside Number 9, where I feel like I've dedicated a lot of time to this series, even though I'm only the eighth series in and I've only got one more to go before the end. But I do feel like, even though I've had a very short time on YouTube, I feel like I've made a lot of friends through this, through making the show, or through, making these videos and, talking about this show. So I do owe a lot of thanks to Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, because if it wasn't for these guys, I wouldn't have started YouTube. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met. I wouldn't have made so many friends. And of course, a lot of them are of the Inside Number 9 fan base. So I do feel, and some of them are, people who make videos of Inside Number 9. So I owe a lot to these, creators, and I owe a lot to the people who make videos about Inside Number 9 as well, because they're all my friends. They're all really wonderful, and they're all just really lovely. And they've also supported me and decided to subscribe to my channel. So I owe a big thank you to those fans who have given me a chance and actually decided to subscribe to my channel. So thank you all you guys, for giving me an opportunity to really kind of show that I can make videos and I can talk about things that really interest me. And I hope that even though Inside Number 9 is coming to an end at some point, either next year or the year after, I hope you guys still continue to stick around and still continue to subscribe and continue going on this journey with me to YouTube. So I hope you're all doing very well. That's my review for the Inventors and Inside Number 9 web series. I hope you're all doing very well, and I hope you like this video. If you do, give it a thumbs up, and I hope you're all doing very well. Take care, bye bye for now.